Okay, so on the settings screen, I'm going through all these sections. So these are nicely boxed off in groups. So this one here is, you can see the 3 phones with times beside them. So this is a default ringing time to ring the first phone number before it halts and dials the second phone number and the third and so on. Okay, so that's your default calling time, just to avoid voicemail on an unanswered call. Pretty obvious what this one is. So this is your speaker symbol on your microphone. You know, you set those levels 1 to 9. So if it's a little bit too loud or there's a little bit of echo or feedback, you can reduce those levels. But they're pretty loud as is. I mean, this is a very high volume unit. In here, we looked at this earlier. So this one is to enable caller ID for residents and visitors. Actually, you can turn that on or off. This one is to disable latching. So sometimes in a gated community situation, a homeowner, a resident might hit button 2 instead of button 1 on their phone, and as we know, button 2 is a latching command, and sometimes the gate's held open, installer gets a call out that there's something wrong with the gate. Turns out someone latched it, but there's no way to find out who. So latching, needless to say, is disabled by default. If someone really wants it, they can turn it on, and if it causes some problems, they can turn it off. You can also do that by SMS. I'm going to go up to this section here next. So this is your engineers or your installer programming code. So this is a 9999 that we put at the start of the programming messages and that we use to log into the software. If we change that here, then we'll log out and log back in again. We'll need to log in with the new 4-digit code that we just put in there. So just take care with that, because if you change that and forget it, you need to go to site to physically hard reset the unit with a jumper link. This one here then, next one down, is the manager code. So this is for a building manager who you want them to be able to do some stuff by themselves. You can give them some access, but the installer has a slightly higher level of access. 1 and 2, these little relay symbols here, hopefully you can see my mouse there. So these are just the default global relay times for relay 1, relay 2. Now if you put in a keypad code and set it for 10 seconds, it's going to be 10 seconds no matter what you put in here. This is the default times if someone pressed a button on their phone when they received a call from a visitor and pressed 1 to let them in for relay 1 and button 4 for relay 2. If one of those was a pedestrian output for a maglock, you'd want to change, say for example, relay 2 to maybe 10 seconds. This feature here is to put the intercom's own phone number into its own memory. And then when you put a 1 in here, this sets a number of days that so the unit will text itself. These units calibrate their time from an incoming SMS text message. So it's useful to have this thing text itself every day, just to resynchronize time if it's not getting any activity. It keeps it connected to the network as well. So we advise in the manual to put in the phone number of the SIM inside the unit here, and set this to 1. So every day it'll receive a text from itself and ensure its time is accurate. Great for, like, you know, summertime saving, changeover and stuff like that. When you activate this feature, you're only out of sync for like a half a day, and then the unit will get a text from itself and it'll recalibrate its time, and it's good. Up here we have this little calendar symbol, of course, and all this kind of looks obvious, but it's 9 different time zones. So you can set, say for example, the gates to latch every morning at, say, we'll go for 0730. So just remember to put the 0 in front of the 7. It's 0730, and we're going to say Monday through Friday. And then what you might want to do is tell them to unlatch again. So that will open our gates at 7:30, but maybe we want to open them for like work and the school run and stuff like that. So maybe by 9:30 most of the activity is done, and that will allow them to unlatch again at that time and hence close. So we could put that in for every day, and then we could say, well, what about weekends? So maybe on weekends, you know, or we could do this at 5:30 again, you know. So you've got 9 different zones here where you can play around and put in some auto scheduling of the gates to open and close. Bottom corner here then, so this one's kind of self-explanatory. You can see 2 times here, time 1 and time 2, the green phone in the middle. but on either side you have a call barring symbol. So that's quite straightforward. You've got days here. So if you put in Monday through whatever Sunday, all of these, and put in a start time and an end time, that means the unit will make calls to visitors between this time and this time on these days. Outside of that, it will not make a call. You can still use a keypad code, you can still use caller ID if it's enabled, you can still use a prox card if you have it, but the unit will not make calls to residents. So useful for, you don't want people getting nuisance calls at 2 a.m. or whatever from bar in the corner. You can switch that stuff off. So here we can edit the welcome message. So you can see a message on screen here. It's flicking back and forth. The default in this unit has 2 screens. It flicks between 2 different messages, as we said. We can override that and put in our own message. Now this will be just one message. It won't give you that flicking ability between the 2, but you can change this to say just a welcome message, for example, without anything. You can just say scroll for name, or direct dial, then press pound. You've got 64 characters to play with, and I'll not go into much detail on this, but there's a couple of special characters in the manual that let you do things like create a line break or center justify the text on screen and stuff like that. But that's in detail in the manual. So over here, bottom right, this is more, most of this is just interesting information. If I hit the download button here, we have now extracted off the intercom what's currently set in there. So we can see the microphone and speaker volumes are default 5 in the middle. Down here we can see signal level 15, 4G, and we can see the IMEI number of the intercom, so useful if you want to activate a SIM card or for whatever. And then if we want to, can set an APN in here. Now this is important. If you're using like a reseller SIM card, not a SIM card from the AT&T store, not a native SIM per se, but it's coming from a reseller of AT&T or T-Mobile, you may need to set, in fact you probably will need to set an APN in here. So you can Google that or get that from your SIM card provider. Ask them what their APN is. APN stands for access point name, and that basically is like a logon. So the intercom, when it connects to the AT&T network or whatever network is connecting to, needs to tell the network, hey, I'm such and such an IMEI number, and my logon password for the network is this. So, the modem has a lot of the default networks in there, but some of the resellers, you need to set that. So check it out on the manual if you've gotten a SIM card with this unit, the one that comes in the box. The manual tells you what APN information to enter here, and you can upload that to the device and then reboot your unit. It might have been on 3G before you set the APN, and then afterwards switch to 4. So, gentlemen and ladies, that concludes pretty much the PC software. It's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, nice and easy to use. It just flows. Lots of icons there. So we're going to roll over onto the app then for the next part of the video, just to give you a little bit of a taste for how you do the same stuff remotely by app.